Hello, Algebra 1. Welcome to the fourth part of the concept notes over ratios, percents, and proportions. In this, we're going to focus on percent, and this is something that we are all familiar with. A percent is simply a comparison out of 100. And so literally the word means per or out of 100. And so particularly, we all are familiar with grades. When we are given our grade as a percent, we have an idea of what that means. So if we get a 90% on something, we know that we did well, that out of 10 things, we knew 9 of them. If we got a 60% on something, or if we know 60% of a concept, then we know a little over half. So a percent is a ratio that we use a lot in real life. An example of a percent might be just 87%, and this is how we would write it. So if you look at the symbol of a percent, it actually is just a rearranging of the number 100. So I tend to, put that 0 and connect the middle line, but it really is just like a 1 and 2 zeros. We could also express that as 87 out of 100. So that's what a percent is in ratio form. Now, something we're going to be doing is we're going to set up a proportion to solve some of our percent problems. And so when we figure a percent, we take the part and we compare it to the whole. So if you got 87 points correct on a test out of 100, you would say 87 over 100. And then that's going to equal your percent. When we do some word problems, there will be just some small words that are used that can indicate which of the value is the part and which is the whole. So you're going to be focusing in on numbers around the word is. And when you see a number indicated with is, that's going to indicate just the part. And when you see a number with the word of, that will be the whole. We'll go through this and it will make more sense once we have some examples. Let's look at some problems where we'll try to figure this mentally. All right, 100% of 800. 100% means that you are taking it all. So if you have all of 800, that is simply just going to be 800. Now let's move to the right. So 10% of 800, think of that as a tenth. Or you can also think of it as what number times 10 would give me 800. Well, of course, that would be 80. Now 1% of 100 is 1/100th. So again, you can think of that the same way as what number times 100 would give me 800. Well, that is simply 8. 200% of 800 would actually be 800 doubled. So 800 doubled is 1,600. 50% of 800, is half. So if we take half of 800, that would be 400. 300% of 800, I know you're thinking of it, that would be a triple amount. So we could take 800 times 3. So just a reminder that a lot of times percent, because we have worked with it so much in our lives, can be done mentally. You can also use your calculator and equations to help you solve percent problems, which is what we're going to practice now. Let's look at the first question we have. It says, what is 7% of 800? So if you look up in your notes at that proportion that I gave you, where I had the percent sign over 100, let's start and let's set up, except now we're going to put in the number that we were given for the percent. So we're going to set up and say 7 over 100. And then we're going to set that equal to what we're looking for. So this is saying what number is 7% of 800. So we're looking for the part of 800 that is 7%. So that's our unknown, our x, and that is the part we're looking for, and the whole is 800. So again, if you look up in the notes, what was set equal to percent over 100 are the words part and whole, is over of. So now we can just use our cross multiplying. And so we'll list the product with the variable first. So 100x equals, and 7 times 800 is 5,600. So now we can divide both sides by 100. And 56 is 7% of 800. Okay, let's try another. The more you do of these, the better you'll get. So what percent is 200 of 800? So in this case, we weren't given the percent, like 7, we're asked to find it. So that means our percent number is going to be our variable. So x over 100 equals, and then it says is 200 of 800. So is our part. That will go on top. 800 is our whole. So let's cross multiply, and then we'll have 800 times x equals 20,000. So 100 times 200. Now we can just divide both sides by 800. So x equals 25. And actually this is 25%, so I should label that. And that's a quarter. And then I'm just looking and making sure my answer is reasonable. And yes, 200 is a quarter or a fourth of 800. All right, next one. So 20 is 30% of what number? So notice we're given our percent. So that means we can set up our percent ratio with two numbers, 30 over 100. And it says 20 is 30% of what number? So we know the part, but we don't know the whole amount. So the part will go on the top of our ratio, and then the whole is our unknown. So that's what we will let our variable equal. So now we can cross multiply, and our pair with the variable is 30 times x equals, and then 100 times 20 is 2,000. Now let's divide by 30. And simplifying that fraction would just be 200 over 3. Since it does ask of what number, we could give that in a little more familiar term. So if we divide that out, we'll have the number 66 and a remainder of 2/3. Percents and percents off really come to play when you are buying things. So a piece of equipment for your gaming system costs $15. The item is on sale for 20% off. The sales tax is 9%. This is very typical. Fill in the items below to determine the final amount. So original price is $15 and our sale is 20%. So first let's figure out then what would be 20% of $15. So we can set up a proportion with our 20 over 100 equals, and what we're looking for is that part of the whole. So x compared to 15. Now we can use our cross multiplying, and we'll put our pair with the variable first. So 100x equals 20 times 15, which is 300. We can divide both sides. So 20% of $15 is $3. So that's our discounted amount. The sale price then will be $15 minus $3, and that will take us down to 12. Now, 9% tax. I mean, that's a, decent amount. So let's figure that. Let's set up a proportion where we have 9 over 100, that's our percent, equals, and then we want to know what the tax is out of now the new sale price of $12. So again, we can cross multiply. So 100x will equal 9 times 12, which is 108. We can divide both sides by 100, and then that can equal 1.08. When we're dealing with money, we can always go 2 decimal places because that would be hundredths or cents place. So that's going to be the tax. So our final amount that we'll need to pay, we can now figure. So we'll take our sale price of $12 and add on our tax. So $13.08. And this concludes our final part of the notes over ratios, percents, and proportions focusing particularly on a very useful everyday topic of percents and using the method of proportions and cross multiplying to solve those.